Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to study of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. आज हम लोग कवर करेंगे beautiful reasons of Krishna's incarnation. And today we are starting this new chapter, Canto 2, Chapter 7. What's the title of the chapter? Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. Hare Krishna.
Dear viewers, Hare Krishna everyone. आप सभी का स्वागत है, अभिनंदन है। आज की श्रीमद् भागवतम क्लास में जीव तत्व प्रभु जी हमारे लिए वंडरफुल लेसन्स लाए हैं। भगवान के ब्यूटीफुल इनकारनेशंस की हमें क्या अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए? Why should we have faith in reading the nectar of Lord's leelas and pastimes? And this includes His creation, this includes all the teachings, and this includes all the leelas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yamunatira Vanachari, Yamunatira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरवरधारी, गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरवरधारी, यशोदानंदन व्रजन रंजना, यशोदानंदन व्रजन रंजना, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
हरि बोल डियर व्यूअर्स। सो आज श्रीमद् भागवतम का कैंटो 2 चैप्टर 7 जीव तत्व प्रभु जी आज हमारे साथ शेयर कर रहे हैं ब्यूटीफुल लेसन्स। चैप्टर इज अबाउट इनकारनेशंस ऑफ भगवान। So please join us and you can ask your questions towards the end of the class. Sometimes devotees have a lot of questions whether incarnations really happened and how they should understand. Kavita Mahajan ji, Hare Krishna, Rocky Saha, Hari Bol, Radha Vanessa ji, Hare Krishna, सौंदर्य स्माइली, सौम्य दर्शन नायक जी, हरे कृष्णा, राजेश कुमार जी, शंकर लाल जी, विश्वनाथन वासु जी, and all many viewers, thank you so much for joining us in this class. Jiva Tattva Prabhuji, please continue with the class.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us for Mangalacharan prayers. We'll sing them together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriyet. Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Yabadrani Vidunoti Suhasatam नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us in the recitation of the first verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7. Again, it is second canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Chapter 7. The title of the chapter is Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. Hare Krishna. So this is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, second canto. There are 12 cantos in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Chapter 7, verse 1. Brahmovacha Yatrodhyata Shiditalodraya Vibrat Krodim Tanum Sakala Yagya Mayim Manantaha Antamaharna Upagatam Adidetyam Tam Tam Shatyadim Iva Vajra Dharo Dadara. This can also be read in another meter. Brahmovacha Yatro Dayataha Yatro Dayata Shiti Talodraya Vibrat Krodim Tanum Sakala Yagya Mayam Manantaha Antar Maharnava Pagatamadi Daityam Tam Dramshayadrim Iva Vajradharo Dadara. Hare Krishna. Please join us. The translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma said, when the unlimited powerful Lord assumed the form of a boar as a pastime, just to lift the planet Earth, which was drowned in the great ocean of the universe called the Garbhodak, the first demon, Hiranyaksh, appeared and the Lord pierced him with his tusk. Hare Krishna. So please join us in Guru Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paśyatya Deshatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadham Vande Shri Gurum Dīnataranam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So, Lord Brahma, on the inquiry of Devashi Narad. So this is something we will see very beautifully in the Shastras. And these are Shruti Shastras, right? Just by hearing, they are passed from one personality to another. Which is again and again the evidence has been given. How Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, by Shukdev Goswami when he spoke at the bank of Ganges at Yamuna Tat, right, near Delhi, at Hastinapur back in those days, where Parikshit Maharaj was fasting for 7 days. Shukdev Goswami recited the whole Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, as we can see. Right, this is Shukdev Goswami and then Parikshit Maharaj. They are here. And in the assembly of great sages. And so, in this assembly was also present one personality by the name Sutta Goswami. And later, at Naimisharanya, Sutta Goswami recited the whole Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam as he had heard. Shravanam. So, of all the 9 processes of devotional service, which one is the most potent one? Please write if you know it. So please write in the comments the most potent form of devotional service as being evident. So just by hearing, it's being passed from one personality to other. And how did Lord Brahma receive it? Again by hearing. He received all the Vedas from Lord Shri Krishna as revealed here. And further, as we see, that Devashi Narad is making an inquiry, and how is he receiving the knowledge? He is receiving by hearing from Lord Brahma. And first canto we already covered as how Vyasadeva, he received that knowledge from Devashi Narad by hearing when Devashi Narad visited him. And what time was it that he visited him? When Vyasadeva had already written all the Vedas, and he was feeling despondent, he was feeling not so satisfied, he was feeling something is lacking. And what was lacking? That was something that he also contemplated. And Devashi Narad revealed, confirmed to him that because he had not glorified Lord Krishna enough, आचार्यस रिवील, आचार्यस क्या बता रहे हैं कि वेदास में कर्म कांड और ज्ञान कांड, दिस इज लाइक 99.9% दे कवर्ड, राइट. कर्म कांड मेजर पोर्शन है, ज्ञान कांड है, उसके बाद में भक्ति, अगेन भक्ति योग के बारे में बहुत ही आखिरी में बताया. तो कर्म योग, ज्ञान योग, इसके ऊपर ज़्यादा फोकस किया है वेदास में. तो दिस इज लाइक अ मार्केट प्लेस, इट इज मेंट फॉर एवरीवन. जब आप किसी मार्केट प्लेस पे जाते हो, आप वहां पे सब तरह के यस. तो हम थोड़ा हिंदी में भी इसको कवर करेंगे ताकि बाकी व्यूअर्स भी समझ सकें. सो समरी मैं हिंदी में बताऊंगा. जब से आप किसी बाजार में जाते हो, राइट, यू गो टू मार्केट प्लेस, तो आप जानते हो वहाँ पे हर तरह के लोग आते हैं. रईस से रईस लोग भी आते हैं, गरीब से गरीब लोग भी आते हैं, राइट. And market में there are all kind of things that are sold. So Vedas are like that. Based on the need of a person can find solution through Vedas. So in Vedas they would go. But अगर आप market में जाते हो तो आप क्या देखते हो, right? What do you see? कि अब वहाँ सब्जी मंडी में देखते हो vegetables are also available, and then their clothes are also available, their toys are also available. There are gold is also available, and then their diamonds are also available. तो आप किसी सब्जी मंडी वाले सेक्शन में, where their vegetables are there, you see many people there, right? Because that's what they want. So they are going there in Vedas, but then sometimes people they do not know कि वेदास पे क्यों जाना चाहिए, वेदास क्यों पढ़ना चाहिए. तो वो क्या करते हैं, जो चीज़ चाहिए उसको छोड़ के जो चीज़ दूसरों को देख रहे हैं कि अरे ये रिच पर्सन है, ये चीज़ चाह रहा है तो मुझे भी वो चीज़ चाहिए, ऐसा सोचते हैं. लेकिन देयर इज वन थिंग दैट इज देयर कि आप जब मार्केट में जाते हो, बाजार में जाते हो, आप देखते हो डायमंड शॉप में, हाउ मेनी पीपल डू यू सी इन द ज्वेलर शॉप. व्हेन यू गो टू अ मॉल, everyone is going for movies, for entertainment, everyone is going to restaurants to eat, and yet at the same time they're also buying clothes, they're also buying vegetables, but very few people you will see in the diamond shop. So in what is diamonds in Vedas is bhakti yoga, the glories about Lord Shri Krishna. And since Vyasadeva ने ये analyze कर लिया, ये समझ लिया scientifically that जो भक्ति योग है वो फोकस होना चाहिए था, but people will get distracted. यद्यद् आचरति श्रेष्ठः तत्तदेवेतरो जनः. Sometimes there will be so much focus in karma kand section of Vedas that they would not be able to take advantage of the true knowledge which is in the bhakti yoga, that highest stage of perfection. So this is why later on देवशी नारद visited him. व्यासदेव को देवशी नारद ने आके उपदेश दिया कि तुमने भगवान को इनफ ग्लोरीफाई नहीं किया है. और देवशी नारद ने पूरी श्रीमद् भागवतम व्यासदेव को सुनाई. तो व्यासदेव ने श्रीमद् भागवतम लिखी, राइट. ही इज ऑल्सो त्रिकालज्ञ, सो ही नोस पास्ट, प्रेजेंट एंड फ्यूचर. सो श्रीमद् भागवतम में when Vyasadeva is writing, he is also writing about Shukdev Goswami, Sutta Goswami, and so many personalities that come afterwards. Right, even Lord's incarnation in Kali age, as how Lord came. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirabhavti bharata abhyudhanam dharmasya tadatmanam sajamyaham. So Lord appears, and this again, this is given in Bhagavad Gita. Lord is revealing to Arjun. भगवान अर्जुन को बता रहे हैं कि जब भी धर्म की ग्लानि होती है, जब भी धर्म का नाश होता है, तो वो इस भौतिक जगत में अवतार लेके आते हैं। लेकिन कृष्णा हिमसेल्फ इज अवतारी, लेकिन वो अपने डिफरेंट अवतार्स लेते हैं। तो इसके अंदर भगवान के व्हाट आर द रीजंस, अगेन, परित्राणाय साधूनाम विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे। सो परित्राणाय साधूनाम, टू save the devotees, vinashaya cha dushkritam, and to annihilate the miscreants, dharma sansthapanarthaya, to re-establish the principles of religion, यानी भगवान धर्म की संस्थापना करने के लिए आते हैं, दुष्टों का नाश करने के लिए और भक्तों की रक्षा करने के लिए। संभवामि युगे युगे, वो बोलते हैं मैं खुद आता हूँ इस भौतिक जगत में। अब आप सोचेंगे कि भगवान को ये जो दुष्ट लोग होते हैं, जो इविल हैं, डीमंस हैं, उनको मारने की क्या जरूरत है, राइट? वो तो अपने किसी एजेंट को भी भेज सकते हैं, उनके पास इतने सारे विष्णु दूता से कोई भी एजेंट उनको एनाइलेट कर सकता है। लेकिन भगवान खुद क्यों आ रहे हैं? समटाइम्स पीपल लुक एट इट फ्रॉम डिफरेंट एंगल, एंड आचार्य इज रिवील्ड इन द बिगनिंग what we are thinking are demons are actually, I don't want to burst the bubble, but it is, as we will reveal, that actually that these were great personalities. भगवान, अब जैसे कभी कभी हम लोग खेलते हैं, तो हम लोग खेलते हैं बराबर वालों के साथ, राइट? दिस इज अ डिस्टिंक्शन। सो भगवान भी ये जो क्रीड़ा कर रहे हैं, अपने पास टाइम्स कर रहे हैं, ही इज सेंडिंग हिज डिवोटीज who he is accepting as his mother and father. जब हम लोगों ने जन्म लिया, हम लोगों ने चूज नहीं किया, हम लोगों को जो मिला हमने ले लिया। And sometimes even then people become proud, right? And see, Lord, he is so affectionate, he does not even care. He just accepts as things they are, and he is always ready to help his devotees. So, अब पहला जो डीमन है उसका नाम है हिरण्याक्ष, और उसका रेफरेंस दिया है बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुली भगवान जिस तरह से आते हैं और वो किस तरह से इस दुष्ट का नाश कर रहे हैं जो हमारी आंखों में दुष्ट है। लेकिन अगर हम उसका पास देखें, क्योंकि हम लोग उसका प्रेजेंट स्टेज पे देख रहे हैं, तो हम लोग पहले प्रेजेंट स्टेज पे देखेंगे, तो इसके दो पार्ट हैं। वन इज फॉर न्यू कमर्स इन कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस, जैसे हम लोग समझ रहे हैं कि भगवान की भक्ति में कैसे लीन रहना है, किस तरह से काम करना है, किस तरह से समझना है, उस पर्सपेक्टिव से। एंड देन वी विल टेक अ बैक स्टेज व्यू लेंगे, विच इज कि भगवान ने ये सब क्यों किया और कैसे परित्राणाय साधुनाम इज मिक्स्ड विद दिस विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम। तो हम लोग ये दोनों कॉम्बिनेशन, दैट्स व्हाई लॉर्ड्स प्रेजेंस, द ब्यूटीफुल रीजंस आर देयर, एंड द टॉपिक इज scheduled incarnations, means all these incarnations ये जो है बिल्कुल समय के हिसाब से है। जैसे सूरज उगता है, राइट? सूरज उदय होता है पूर्व में, so that is the sun rises in the east at a prescribed time, at a definite time. It is not that सूर्य देव कहते हैं, विवस्वान कहते हैं आज मैं थोड़ा 2 घंटा लेट जाऊंगा, नहीं, ऐसा नहीं। He is so particular that भगवान के डायरेक्शन के हिसाब से वो एग्जैक्ट टाइम पे राइज कर रहे हैं, एग्जैक्ट टाइम पे सेट कर रहे हैं। जब लोग साइंटिफिकली देखते हैं तो उस तरह से भी देख सकते हैं कि भूमि जो है वो एग्जैक्ट रोटेशन में जा रही है इन हर स्टेट, लेकिन उनका ये जो स्टेट है इट कैन बिकम अनस्टेबल, और वो इस पर्पट में शिला प्रभुपाद रिवील कर रहे हैं कैसे हो सकता है। तो पहले तो शिला प्रभुपाद कह रहे हैं अपने पर्पट में, भावार्थ में, सिंस द बिगिनिंग ऑफ क्रिएशन, यानी जब लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा जैसे उन्होंने क्रिएशन बिगिन किया, जो ब्रह्मा जी हैं उनके दिन में 1000 चतुर्युगास होते हैं, 1004 times 4 युगास, राइट? द 4 युगास, चतुर्युगास, सतयुगा, त्रेता युगा, द्वापर युगा एंड कलयुगा। ना हम लोग जब इस तरह से कहते हैं, एक्चुअली जब भगवान कृष्ण आते हैं तो त्रेता युग और द्वापर युग अपनी पोजीशन चेंज कर रहा है। एक्चुअली इट इज सतयुग, द्वापर युग, त्रेता युग एंड कलियुगा, बट भगवान जब कृष्ण आते हैं तो ये दोनों पोजीशन चेंज हो जाती हैं। सतयुगा, त्रेता युगा, द्वापर युग बाद में आ जाता है, और कलियुगा। तो त्रेता युग, द्वापर युग अपनी पोजीशन चेंज कर लेते हैं जब भगवान कृष्ण खुद अवतारी जो है वो खुद आते हैं, द ओरिजिनल सुप्रीम पर्सनालिटी ऑफ गॉडहेड। तो बिगनिंग ऑफ क्रिएशन मीन्स बिगनिंग ऑफ द डे ऑफ ब्रह्मा। और ब्रह्मा का जो लाइफ है वो बहुत लंबा है। कितना लंबा है? 311 ट्रिलियन 40 बिलियन ईयर्स, राइट। और उनका एवरी डे इज ऑल्सो 4,320 billion years. So again, you can imagine he also has 12 months. Each month is 30 days, and he lives up to 100 years of age of his. So earthly solar years के हिसाब से these are very amazingly very large. The beginning of creation means the beginning of a day of Lord Brahma. The demons and the demigods, or the Vaishnavas, are always the two classes of living beings to dominate the planets of the universes. तो इसके अंदर श्रील प्रभुपाद कह रहे हैं कि there are two kind of people. Either people are demons or demigods. Now these are extremes, right? One is white, the demigods, and one is black. हम लोग बोलते हैं सुरस और वैष्णवास, राइट, जो भगवान के भक्त हैं, जो भगवान के अधीन चल रहे हैं, जैसा भगवान ने कहा है उसके हिसाब से चल रहे हैं। और जो डीमंस है वो बोल रहे हैं जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस, whoever is the power will rule, and they have this tendency of snatching away others' properties. While जो devotees हैं, they just pray to the Lord, and whatever is being provided, they just try to use everything in Lord's service. This is the mood of suras. And asuras का mood क्या है कि I will acquire everything, I will snatch away others' properties, I will rule over the universe. So that is their mindset. There are always two classes of these living beings. अब हमारे अंदर भी in this Kali age, it is said, Acharyas reveal that we actually have a part of us that is good and a part of us that is bad. So these both qualities are present, and there is a constant struggle going on between these two qualities. And Jayapataka Maharaj, he gives a very nice example that अगर आपके पास एक गुड डॉग है और एक बैड डॉग है तो उसमें से कौन सा डॉग जीतेगा, राइट? हाउ कैन यू डिटरमिन कौन सा डॉग जीतेगा? तो उसका बहुत ही सिंपल एग्जांपल है। अगर आपको आंसर पता है तो प्लीज कमेंट्स में लिखिए, अदरवाइज मैं आपको बताता हूँ। उसके अंदर वो डॉग जीतेगा द डॉग यू विल फीड द मोस्ट, राइट? सो जिस डॉग को आप खाना देंगे, भोजन देंगे, वो डॉग जीतेगा। सो दैट इज द सीक्रेट। सो ऑफ द टू काइंड ऑफ demon propensities and then godly propensities, devotee propensities, of this, whichever we serve more, whichever we take more, whichever we exercise more, हम जो भी प्रवृत्ति है, एक दैवी प्रवृत्ति है, एक आसुरी प्रवृत्ति है, सो हम जिस प्रवृत्ति को फॉलो करेंगे, हम जिसके हिसाब से चलेंगे, वो स्ट्रांग हो जाएगी, राइट? So we should try to be like devotees, right? So we should try to do good to others, benefit of others, look at everyone equally, sama sarveshu bhuteshu, and mad bhakti labhate param. भगवान कृष्ण कह रहे हैं भगवद गीता में कि जो मेरे डिवोटीज हैं वो मेरी सर्विस में, मेरी डिवोशन में लीन रहते हैं. So we put Lord Krishna in the center, not ourselves in the center. But here we are talking about the first demon. So these two classes of living beings, again, if we are very good, then we get elevated to higher planets. In our higher planets, people are more elevated, right? And the lower planets, they are more degraded, like Patal, Talatal, and so forth. So demons, they live on the lower planets, demigods live on the higher planets, and earthly beings, the Manushans, other living entities, and birds, beasts, and so forth, they live on the earthly planets. So Lord Brahma is the first demigod. So ये जो है higher planets पे dominate कौन करते हैं? Demigods. So Lord Brahma is the first demigod. So हमारे इस भौतिक जगत में जो पहले demigod है, पहले जो देव हैं, वो हैं Lord Brahma. Right? He is a living entity like you and me, but he is a perfected living entity. The 50 qualities out of 64 qualities, he has them in perfection, and he is also a yogi. He can see Lord in his heart. When we close our eyes, we may try, but we cannot see Lord in our heart, right? We cannot see on the lotus of our heart. Yet at the same time, Acharya said that if we even imagine that at the lotus of our heart, there is a beautiful throne, right? Made of, very nicely bedecked with silk and nice ornaments. It's very nicely decorated, and we can welcome the Lord to sit on this throne and we wash his feet. It is a bona fide method by which we can meditate on this beautiful shams in the two-arm form of Lord Kṛṣṇa, and we can wash his feet with Ganga and Yamuna. We can offer him bhogas. So again, when we offer the bhoga, we imagine and we sing out the prayers. Namo Brahmanaya Devaya, Go Brahmanaya Hitaya Cha, Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namo. So we call out to the Lordship that please come and accept this food which we have prepared for you, the bhoga we have prepared for you with lot of love and devotion. So now continuing further on the purport, so these two type of living entities, they are always trying to dominate this universe. Who are these two type of? The demigods and then the demons, right? Lord Brahma is the first demigod, and on his day when the creation is going on, Hiranyaksha is the first demon in this universe. In this universe, so there are unlimited universes. We talked about that in the previous classes. And in this very small universe of ours, which is material universe, the first demon is Hiranyaksha. Now, who is Hiranyaksha? So Hiranyaksha is actually a son of a great personality, and his mother is Diti, and so Diti's sons are called Daityas, and Aditi's sons are called Adityas, and their father is actually Lord Shiva's devotee, right? The name is escaping me. But at the same time, Hiranyaksha, his name is because of the characteristic. Aksha means eye, Hiranya means gold. So he has an eye for gold. So he was excavating earth, so much so that earth lost its balance and fell out of orbit. That is being revealed here. Right? Only under certain conditions do the planets float as weightless balls in the air, and as soon as these conditions are disturbed, the planets may fall down into the Garbhuta ocean. Right? So all these planets, they are in their orbit is because the way they have been constituted. जैसा उनका constitution है, उनका जो combination of different chemicals and all that stuff is there, the planets may fall down in Garbhuta ocean if somebody tries to extract too much. So what had happened was that Hiranyaksha had performed great austerity, and demons are always fearful that they will be killed by the demigods. जो असुरस हैं उनको डर लगता है कि जो सुरस हैं, जो देवस हैं, वो उनको मारेंगे, जो demigods हैं. So he performed great austerity, and Lord Brahma had revealed that whatever he says is truth. So Hiranyaksha had asked Lord Brahma, जब Lord Brahma को खुश किया, तो Lord Brahma आए, बोलते हैं, what do you want? Ask for a boon. So he said that I want a boon that I will never be killed. So he said, even I will die, Lord Brahma said. So how can I give you a boon that you will not die? Because that is not true, that is not done. So he basically asked at that time that, okay, I will not be killed, these. But he started naming all the kind of living entities that cannot kill him, right? Hiranyakashipu, we know, we will come later to Hiranyakashipu, that how he was asking his bone to trick Lord Brahma to get all the benefits. So Hiranyaksha, he started naming 8.4 million species. But when he was naming all those 8.4 million species, he did not say Sua, right? He did not say Varaha. Why? Because he said, Shukra, it's like such a abominable, animal. He didn't even want to speak the name. So he, of 8.4 million species, as he was naming, he named all except for Shukra, which is, a wild boar. And, he received this boon that he will not be killed. So Lord is so merciful that because he did not say that name, he appeared in that form. And he appeared from the nostril of Lord Brahma. So even Lord Brahma got bewildered. How did this happen? Right? So Lord did things very beautifully. And sometimes people say, oh, Shukra means because Lord, he appeared, as Varahadev from the nostril. It just came from, and then he started increasing his size and became a giant size to fight with Hiranyaksha. But first, Paritrāṇāya sadhunam. So what had happened was, because Hiranyaksh, he had eye for gold, that's the name, right? Hiranya means gold, Akshay means eyes. So he had eye for gold, so he was extracting so much gold that Mother Earth, she fell out of her orbit, and that has been revealed as well, right? So when something falls, it falls down. So in what is this universe? The half of this globe, this universe, is water, and then above half is where the space is there, where all these planets are orbiting. So all this description has been given in our Shastras, and the scientists, they become proud of their minute intelligence, and they don't know all these facts. Right? The other half, so again, the other half is the spherical dome with which the innumerable, so again, out here, the planets were found down in where? Garbhoda Kosha. We talked about this, that in this particular universe, Karnadakshay Vishnu, he expands further as Garbhodakshay Vishnu, from whose navel sprouts this lotus flower where Lord Brahma is born. So Garbhodakshay Vishnu is resting on Garbhoda Kosha. So Garbhoda Kosha is all, like waters, and this is where Earth falls down, and she falls down to the bottom of this ocean. Now, who can go to really abominable places? A Shukra, again, a Varaha can go, right? So Lord, taking that form, can go to the most abominable places and lifts Mother Earth. So वो भूमि को उठा के लाता अपने टस पे, and then he simply with his hands laid on the surface of Garbhoda Kosha, where she floats. Now sometimes people say, wait a minute, this Mother Earth, जो भूमि थी, ये जो पृथ्वी थी, ये बैलेंस खो के गिर गई गर्भोदा क्वेश्चन में, एंड उसके बाद में वो भगवान ने जब उसको ऐसे फ्लोट कराया तो वो फ्लोट कैसे कर गई, फिर क्यों नहीं डूबी? बिकॉज लॉर्ड पास्ड सम ऑफ हिज पोटेंसी टू मदर अर्थ, भूमि को अपनी पोटेंसी थोड़ी सी ट्रांसफर करी सो दैट शी कैन फ्लोट. That is a very nice explanation given by the acharyas. And then he fought with this demon. So the other half is the spherical dome, right above the other half, in which the innumerable planetary systems exist. Now it is also very important that the floating of the planets in the weightless air is due to the inner constitution of the globes, and the modernized drilling of earth to exploit oil from within is a sort of disturbance by the modern demons and can result in a greatly harmful reaction to the floating condition of the earth. So here Srila Prabhupada is revealing that oil drilling and extracting of different kind of ores from earth, it should not be done because of greed, because this will cause earth to lose balance again and she can again fall in Garbhoda Kosha. This is a warning for all of us that we should be very careful. But yet at the same time, devotees, we don't engage in this, we discourage such activities. Yet at the same time, we understand that I am not of this place, I am in this place, right? हम लोग भौतिक जगत के नहीं, हम आध्यात्मिक जगत के हैं. हम इस भौतिक जगत में अपने पिछले कर्मों के कारण आए हैं, and we just want to finish our business and go back home, back to Godhead. So that is why Srila Prabhupada keeps saying that this material world is not a place for gentleman and lady. So we should understand from that perspective that this material world is a very dangerous place. Padam padabhiyata vipadam natesham. There is danger at every place. So our business is not to, and seek enjoyment here, because the enjoyment that we are trying to seek here is like, someone is drowning us in water. We are in this ocean of nascence. And sometimes when we get this breath of fear, that relief, people think that that is enjoyment, right? But that is not enjoyment. A similar disturbance was created formerly by demons. So just like the oil drilling and extracting of various minerals from earth is going on, similarly the disturbance was done by Hiranyaksh, right? Headed by Hiranyaksh, the great exploiter of the gold rush. Again, remember, Hiranyaksh, what is the meaning of Hiranyaksh? So again, I told you, Hiranya means gold, Aksha means eye. He has eye for gold, so he was extracting gold. And because he received this boon, he was challenging various demigods. Even Varun Dev, he went and challenged him, the demigod of the ocean. And the earth was detached from its weightless condition and fell down into the Garbhodak ocean. Again, Srila Prabhupada is reminding us that because of that weightless condition, she got imbalanced and she fell in the Garbhodak ocean. And the Lord is maintainer of the whole creation of the material world. So Lord, He feels compassion towards us, compassion towards Bhumi, compassion towards the planet Earth. So He assumed the gigantic form of a boar with a proportionate snout and picked up the earth from within the waters of Garbhodak. And so Lord, He appeared in this form, and Shri Jayadev Goswami, he sings, the great Vaishnava poet, he sang as follows. Vasanti darshane shikare dharani tav lagna shashini kalanka kaleva nimagna Keshavadrita shukar rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare. So Jayadev Goswami, who appeared in the 13th century, he wrote the Das Avatar. And sometimes people get confused. They think that Lord has only taken 10 avatars because of that song. But in reality, Lord has taken unlimited incarnations, unlimited expansions of His Vishnu forms are there. And 24 four-arm Vishnu forms we discussed earlier. So they are also there. Then Lord Balaram is there. And then from Balaram comes Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Niruddha. And from Pradyumna comes all the Purusha avatars, the 3 Purusha avatars. And then we talked about the universal form, Bhagwan ka jo Vishwaroop hai, uske bare mein discuss kiya. And here he has taken his first avatar, which is Varaharup. And he comes. And O Keshava, O Supreme Lord, who have assumed the form of a boar. So Jayadev Goswami is singing these prayers. O Lord, the planet Earth rested on your tusks, and it appeared like a moon and grey with spots. Right? Such is the symptom of an incarnation of the Lord. So Lord is so merciful to save His devotees. And we'll come to that point that it may appear as a demon, but actually it's a devotee. So just wait for that suspense line. The incarnation of the Lord is not the concocted idea of fanciful man who created incarnation out of imagination. So in today's times, people, they just create various imaginary incarnation. It is not imaginary. There is always a reason, and cause of all causes is who? Lord Krishna, Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadir Govinda Sarva Karanam. Lord Krishna is the Parameshwar, Paramaha Ishwar Parama Krishna. Sachidananda Vigraha, and He has transcendental body which is full of knowledge, full of eternity, and full of transcendental bliss. So even Varahadev, his body is transcendental, not made of this material world, but he is all spiritual, even though the form is that of a Varaha. Form is that of a Shukra, yet at the same time, even as appearing as a Shukra, as a boar, he has a transcendental body. There is no difference in his body and his soul. They are all one. But there is difference here in our case because we as living entities cannot sustain ourselves. Right? We cannot have a body. So Lord is so merciful that He gives us His body. This is another lesson where we learn that actually sometimes people become very proud. They say, why should I sing the glories of Lord Krishna? What has He given? Well, the interesting thing is the very body and the mind which we are thinking has been provided to us by Lord Shri Krishna. And Lord Krishna is so merciful that even for demons, He provides sunshine, right? So there is sunlight every day. There is moonlight every night. There are all these facilities on this planet Earth. All these things have been provided by Lord. Yet sometimes people who are bewildered, they, in ignorance, they say it in ignorance because they don't have the knowledge. But when you get the knowledge, then you should understand and sing the glories of Lord Shri Krishna and take to devotional service. And taking to devotional service is very easy. All you have to do is raise your hand and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Lord is so merciful, and his beautiful reasons of his incarnations are there, as we are continuing to see from Lord Srila Prabhupada's purport. Such is the symptom of an incarnation of Lord. So Lord is coming to save the devotees, to bless Mother Earth. Bhumi Devi is the presiding deity of Mother Earth. Just like Vivaswan is the presiding deity of Sun Globe, Bhumi Devi is the presiding deity. So to save her, she is a devotee of the Lord. So to save her, he comes and he lifts her up from the bottom of the ocean and rests her on the top of the ocean, and he is fighting with Hiranyaksh. The incarnation of the Lord is not the concocted idea, as we discussed, right? And the incarnation of the Lord appears under certain extraordinary circumstances, like the above mentioned occasion, and the incarnation performs a task. So every incarnation of the Lord has a specific purpose. So Lord appears for a specific purpose, to perform a specific task, which is not even imaginable by the tiny brain of mankind. So we are so tiny that we can't understand. The modern creators of many cheap incarnations may take note of the factual incarnation of God as the gigantic bow with a suitable snout to carry the planet Earth. So the people who imagine Lord appearing in various kind of incarnations, or sometimes they themselves call incarnations that they are incarnation of Lord, they should understand that it is not an imagination, it is to perform some amazing task. When the Lord appeared to pick up the earth, the demon of the name Hiranyaksh tried to create a disturbance in the methodical functions of the Lord. So Lord is the maintainer, right? Brahma creates, Lord Shiva he annihilates, and Lord Vishnu he maintains. So Lord is maintain the arrangement, so that the living entities who are his devotees can go back home, back to Godhead. For that purpose he is coming, and he is also killing the demon who try to create disturbance, because this is demonic nature. And we talked about that sometimes in this mode of ignorance, people, they become like terrorists and they hurt the humanity, while the real devotee of the Lord, right, one who really is serving the Supreme Lord, the absolute truth, will only be benefiting humanity, understanding that Jivera Surupaya Kṛṣṇa Nityadas. So every living entity is an eternal servant of Krishna. Some know it, some don't. So we, should always be compassionate towards all living entities, not perform any kind of even janaprad, not offend anyone. Rather, work to benefit the humanity. And the greatest benefit is to show them how to return back home, back to Godhead. That's why devotees, instead of doing the welfare activities, they understand that it is more important to tell everyone that, going back home is the only way to be happy. In this material world, you may get this flickering relief from miseries, but that is not happiness. The true happiness is eternal. It is not flickering in nature. It is not temporary. And that we can attain when we go back home, back to Godhead. And therefore, this Hiranyaksh was killed by being pierced by the Lord tusks. So Lord, he uses, Sudarshan takes the form of his tusks. And so he kills this. Now, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, the demon Hiranyaksh was killed by the hand of the Lord. Right? So as per Jiva Goswami, he was already killed by the hand of the Lord. Therefore, this version is that after being killed by the hand of the Lord, the demon was pierced by the tusk. Because to maintain that, a boar will use its tusk to kill its prey, Lord is also maintaining that aspect. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur confirms this version. So again, Acharyas are revealing this to us. Now, it is very interesting. Let's look at a step back. So because we are also in a similar state, right? There are demoniac thoughts and there are devotees thoughts. So again, those propensities, demoniac and divine propensities, are in all living entities in this Kali age. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is so merciful, he is Patita Pavana. So he is enabling us to understand the knowledge properly so that we can go back home. And when he appears, Jagai and Madhai are supposed to be most abominable of all human beings. Yet at the same time, Lord did not kill them. Rather, he allowed them to take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu, Adi Guru. When they took shelter of Nityananda Prabhu, he blessed them so that they can become devotees. And these two personalities were actually born in a Brahmin family. And as Kotwals in Bengal, they had become most abominable. They would open Vedas to find out what is the most abominable sin to perform, and they would perform that sin. So they were drunkards, women hunters, and doing all kind of abominable sins one after another. Being Brahmana's sons, right? They knew Vedas and they would open Vedas. So it is not the Vedas that is wrong. It is the use of Vedas that is wrong. So we have to understand things in right perspective, and that's why we need a guru. So when they got a spiritual master like Nityananda Prabhu, who is none other than Balram, then they were able to understand the purpose of life. Then they were able to understand the foolishness that they were performing. And so they cleansed themselves, the very heart of theirs, Cheto Darpanamajanam. And this is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals that in this Kali age, Kali Yuga Nam Rupe Krishna Avatar. So in this Kali age, Lord has appeared in his name, in the form of his name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When Lord Krishna appears and he sees a demon, the demon is annihilated, right? It is Vishnu and Krishna who kills, by the way. Acharyas also revealed that Krishna is so busy in his amorous pastime, in his Ashtakaliya Leela, he has no time to kill anyone. It is the Vishnu in Krishna, his further expansions, they are the one who kill the demons. So all his incarnations, as Vishnu forms, they are the ones who are killing these various kind of demons, like Hiranyaksh is killed by Varahadev. And now Hiranyaksh is killed. So again, so we also have various kind of demons in our heart too, right? The six vices: Kam, Krodh, Lobha, Moh, Mad, Matsara, lust, anger, greed, pride, and delusion and envy. So these vices are also in us. So this is why we should pray to the Lordship that, my dear Lord, please kill these vices, and that is through the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We are calling out to the Lordship, my dear Lord, please engage me in your devotional service. Because if we are not engaging in Lord's service, we are engaging in Maya's service, and that is demonic nature. We don't want to be demonic, we want to be divine. So to be divine, we want to take shelter of Lord Shri Krishna. And by his name, he's so merciful that instead of killing us, or our body, these bodies, he actually purifies us. By entering through our ears into our heart, he purifies our consciousness. And that is where we experience the bliss, the happiness. So by being in this very life, in this body, we can experience transcendence, we can experience spiritual life, we can be in spiritual world even while living in this material world, because our vision, our sight has changed. Now we are seeing everything in relationship with Krishna. This is what we discussed in the previous two chapters, where Purusha Sukta confirmed in the previous chapter, chapter 6, and chapter 5 was Krishna is the cause of all causes. So here we see everything in relation with Lord Shri Krishna. So everything should be used in his service to please Lord Shri Krishna. With that mood, when we serve the Lordship, that everything comes together. And sometimes people ask, why should I chant the name? How is it different? I want Lord Krishna to appear. So there is a very nice story, being given by the Acharyas. So there was this man, he was a great devotee of the Lord, he was a priest of the temple. So once there was a flood, and he prayed to the Lord, please come and save me. And so, as the water was rising, he climbed up onto the roof of the temple. He was holding onto that pataka, the top of the temple. And there was a boatman, he comes and he says, come, I have, come to take you. He says, no, Lord will come and take me. So they go away. He's like, okay, he doesn't want to come with us. Let's go and save other people. A helicopter comes. He says, come. They put down a ladder. They say, come. We have come to take you. And he says, no, I want Lord to take me. And then what happens is he finally dies. And then when he goes back, he's asking, my dear Lord, why didn't you come and take me? He said, I came in the form of a boatman. I came and asked you to come with me, but you didn't want to come. I came in the form of a pilot on the helicopter. I asked you to come, you didn't come. So we should understand that Lord is always sending his messenger. He's coming again and again in our life. We should take shelter. And in this age, in this Kali age, he's coming in his name form. And what is the proof there? Again, the Shruti Shastras, the bona fide scriptures, they reveal that. Chintamani, जो नेम है, राइट, पहले तो बृहद नारायण पुराण में श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु ये रिवील कर रहे हैं बृहद नारदीय पुराण से, हरे नाम हरे नाम एव केवलम कलौ नास्तेव 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 गतिरन्यथा. So chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy name. Hare Nam has been said 3 times. Why? For stress, right? When we say very, very good, that means we are putting stress that it's really good. Now somebody says 3 times, must be really, really good, right? So this is how, like the stress, that's why the repetition is there. That only by the chanting of the holy name, we can overcome the vices of this Kali age, of this age. And that is what is very important, that we overcome the vices, we purify our existence so we can go back home and be eternally happy. That is the true formula to be happy, to return back home, back to Godhead, where we are constantly engaged in devotional service of Lord Shri Krishna. Right? Jivera Surupaya Krishna Nitya Das, eternal servant. For eternity we are servant. But when we are serving Maya, Maya is serving Krishna. So we are indirectly serving Maya, but that is making us very miserable. Because Maya is, like the jailer of the jail, and she is beating us so that we continue to serve. And she is putting us in this forgetfulness of our Krishna consciousness so that we continue to serve and suffer in this material world. But Lord Krishna is so merciful that he comes and relieves us by, appearing in the form in this Kali age as his holy name. And in this Kali age, Lord's name is Chintamani, refers to one who can fulfill all desires. That money, that stone, it's not touchstone. Touchstone is like parasmani, right, which can turn iron into gold. But Chintamani is which can deliver all our desires, whatever thoughts we have. Chinta refers to thoughts, and it can deliver all our thoughts. So Lord is so merciful that his name, Nama Chintamani Krishna Sa Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatvam Nama Namino. Lord's name is Chintamani Krishna's. Whose name? Lord Krishna's name is like Chintamani. And Abhinnatvam Nama Namino. And it Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. All his potencies of Lord Shri Krishna, they are in his name. So that's why we also call name as Nama Prabhu, right? Because all Lord Krishna's potencies, his unlimited potencies, he has endowed in his name. And Purna Shuddho, it can completely purify us. Nitya Mukto, and it can completely, elevate us, liberate us, right? Give us salvation from this material universe, from this material life. And Abhinnatvam Nama Namino, and it is not different. The name of Lord Krishna is not different from Lord Krishna himself. So this is where we should take to the chanting, so that all the vices, all the negativity washes away, and we engage ourselves, our family members, and take to the chanting of the holy name, take to the reading Kirtanam, reading, hearing about Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the literary incarnation of Lord Shri Krishna. He is so merciful that he appears as his literary incarnation, as a Shastra, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, so that we can understand how we can engage in his devotional service. And further, he appears in his Archa Vigraha form. So when we go to the temple, we know the deities, they are spiritual, right? Even though we use various material objects, but because Pran Pratishtha is there, and the deities, they are spiritual, and so as soon as we put the clothes on him, the clothes also become part of him, and they are all spiritual. So we should understand. So from this perspective, to remove all kind of bad things, bad feelings from our heart, the Acharyas are revealing that in the beginning stage, when we are very dirty, we should do Shravanam, we should bathe in the beautiful reasons as Lord is appearing. Now, one of the amazing, now third most important part, I was telling you that even Hiranyaksh, who is considered the first demon, how is he a devotee? Sometimes when people hear, they become little bewildered, right? Because Lord's incarnations are very, merciful. So we all understand that Diti and Diti's husband, he's one of the Prajapatis. Kardama Muni? No, not Kardama Muni. Kardama is Devahuti's husband, and Kashyapa Muni is Kashyapa Muni and Diti. So Kashyapa Muni is the husband, and Diti is the wife. I just remembered. Hare Krishna, by Lord's mercy. So Diti approached him at the dusk time, right? And to enjoy with him. And at that time, Kashyapa Muni pleased her, but he told her that because she approached at a time where Lord Shiva with his Bhutganas and Pretas, he goes on, and the mode of ignorance is prevalent at that time. So she will give birth to twins. And these twins, so she became very fearful that these twins, my two sons, they will be demons. So, but then he said, but don't worry, Lord Vishnu will come and he will kill them. So now she was somewhat satisfied as a mother that when Lord Vishnu kills, then the person, the baby is able to go back home, back to Godhead. So she was satisfied hearing that at least they will attain the purpose, the goal of life, right? To go back home, back to Godhead. Now there's a story behind even how she gets these sons, right? So it so happened that the four Kumaras, the four sons of Lord Brahma, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanat Kumara, and Sanandana. So these were impersonalists, right? They were Brahmanvadis. They were thinking that Brahman is everything. Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya, that kind of mentality. But then they were attracted by the smell, this sweet, fragrant smell of Tulsi, which was at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. So they been attracted by that smell of Tulsi. So again, Lord has a reason. So they went all the way to the spiritual world and at Padmanav Vishnu's abode, and they are going from one gate to another, right? So you're going into a country, normally you face immigrant offices, right? Immigration desks are there, and then you have to show your passport, your visas, and say that okay, so and so is the case. So even in Vaikuntha, on the seventh gate, there are these two Dwarpal, the two doorkeepers. Who are these doorkeepers? What are their names? Jay and Vijay. So they are there, and how do these four Kumaras they look like? They stayed at the age of 5 years. So even though they are very aged, they decided that they want to stay as children and they don't want to wear any clothes. And nobody minds if a child, 5-year-old child is without clothes, running here and there. So they were like this, they were coming after one gate to another gate, 6 gates they crossed. Then they went into the 7th gate. As they were coming to the 7th gate to enter, these two Dwapas, they put their danda, right? There's sticks to block their way. They said, no, you cannot get in. At that time, the four Kumaras, they became very angry. They said, you are in Vaikuntha, you are in this spiritual world, but you are acting in this manner, like so ignorant. You don't deserve to be in this spiritual world. You should fall down as demons you should fall down into the, Mrityu Lok, which is material world. So they immediately realized that these are great personalities because, from looks you cannot understand who is a devotee, who is not a devotee. But when you hear them say something, what is that they are saying reveals who they are. So a fool is only hiding himself so far as he doesn't speak, open his mouth to speak something. As soon as he speaks something, you can understand that this person is a fool. He's talking about all kind of nonsense. And similarly, a jnani, just like Shukdev Goswami, right? His body appears just like a 16-year-old boy, just like, and he has a similar dark complexion, not very attractive features. And people were thinking that this is a mad boy, 16-year-old boy, not covering his body, because he was already a self-realized, he's an Atmaram. He was completely self-realized soul, and he was wandering, as if covered, right? Because he was not revealing himself who he is. He was not speaking. It was only when Parikshit Maharaj welcomed him and all the sages, they got up when they saw Shukdev Goswami. So again, only a Jnani can understand who other Jnani is. So again, that's also a reflection. So they immediately welcomed him, and Parikshit Maharaj, understanding that this is a great personality, inquired from him, and so Shukdev Goswami revealed Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So these are all glories. So similarly, now Jai Vijay, they understood, oh, these are great personalities. These are devotees of the Lord. What have we done? We stopped them, from entering into Vaikuntha and the last gate. So they asked for forgiveness. And at that time, Padmanabh Vishnu came. So Lord Vishnu, he came and he said, actually, I sanction the curse that you have given, I sanction it. So now these two doorkeepers of mine, they have a choice. Either they can appear as devotees for 7 births or as demons for 3 births. So now you can imagine in Vaikuntha, everyone has a spiritual body, right? So these doorkeepers have a spiritual body. But now they have to give up their spiritual body, come to this material world and get body of demons. So this arrangement is there, right? But what are they choosing? Because in spiritual world, everyone is Nitya Siddha and they are in perfect knowledge, full in knowledge. So full in knowledge, these two doorkeepers, they meditate on this curse, which is they have received the shrap. Okay, या तो 7 जन्म लेंगे भक्त की तरह या फिर 3 जन्म लेंगे दैत्य की तरह, as not Daitya means again, Daitya means sons of Diti, as demons, as demonic, asur ki tarah. They chose 3 births as demons, not 7 births as devotees. Why? Because they knew that the cycle of birth and death is very painful. So this is a lesson for us, that these are perfected beings. They are choosing 7 births as demons, no, 3 births as demons, not 7 births as devotees. Why? Because they know that the pain of taking birth and dying is very bad, it's very painful. These are very painful events. On top of that, there is another thing that they are sharing, that they are revealing to us that they are ready to serve. So they ask Lord Vishnu that they always remember him. Even though born as demons, they always want to remember Lord. So that is where, man mana, right? So man mana bhav mad bhakta. So they are the devotees, but they always, even in the body of a demon, they never want to forget Lord. So that is Mayyeva Manadharsva. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. And these demons are, these two doorkeepers, even though they are going to be born as demons, they don't want to forget Lord. So they ask for this boon, and Lord says yes. Now somebody can say, but how is this whole pastime? Because Lord Krishna is always cause of all causes. How is it arranged by Lordship? Well, it has been arranged by this single event. Many things have happened. First thing that had happened is that the Chatur Kumaras, they met Padmanabh Vishnu at the gate of Vaikuntha. They did not enter Vaikuntha. Lord Vishnu did not want them to enter Vaikuntha, so he came to the gate because the doorkeeper stopped them at gate by Lord's wish, and he came to the gate, and so they did not enter. They were satisfied by seeing Lord Krishna, and that's where they became devotees. That's where they realized that we were thinking that Brahman is everything, that Brahma Satya, but this is Param Brahma. This is Lord Vishnu, not different from Krishna. So again, all Vishnu Tattvas are not different from Krishna. That's also another thing that Srila Prabhupada and Acharya revealed. So they immediately, they touched Lord Vishnu, they were fully satisfied, and they returned back to this material universe. So they did not enter. Another thing is, Jai Vijay, they were so powerful and they had seen so many amazing pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna that they wanted to fight. But in Vaikuntha, everyone is serving Lord Shri, serving Janardhan, everyone is serving Lord Vishnu. So you cannot fight with Lord Vishnu there. So it has to be a place where he fights, and he fights in the material universe. So this is where they, get an opportunity to fight with Lord Vishnu. So they had this, the secondary bhav, right? So there are 5 primary rasas, and the secondary rasa is again this feeling of fighting and angry and all these things are secondary rasa. So they wanted to enjoy with Lord in the secondary rasa. Then there is another reason. On top of that, once Goddess Lakshmi, she sometimes, to please her devotees, she leaves the abode of Lord Vishnu to bless her devotees. So once when she returned, Lord Vishnu was resting. At that time, these two doorkeepers, Jay and Vijay, they had stopped her at the gate. They said, Lord is resting, come later. And so she was very angry. So when she later on met with Lord Vishnu, she said that these two doorkeepers of yours, they did not let me come in. You got to punish them. So Lord Vishnu said, okay. So this is also to satisfy Goddess Lakshmi, right? And sometimes people look at this incident and they look at it, happy wife, happy life, right? So again, even Lord Vishnu is teaching us by his example that if Goddess Lakshmi is happy, I will satisfy her as well, I will satisfy my devotees as well, and I will also satisfy the Chaturkumaras and not let them also enter the Vaikuntha. So multiple, reasons have been resolved by this single event. So the first birth these two doorkeepers, Jai Vijay, they take is that of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha is Vijay, he's taking birth, so they are both living entities, and Hiranyaksha is taking birth as Vijay, and Hiranyakashipu is taking, Jai is taking birth as Hiranyakashipu, and Vijay is taking birth as Hiranyaksha. And this is the pastime where Hiranyaksha was the first demon on the day of Lord Brahma. Not on the beginning of this universe, but on the beginning of creation of the day, of this day of Lord Brahma, when Hiranyaksha appeared and he was killed by Varahadev. And of course, we all know that Hiranyakashipu was killed by Narasimha Avatar. So even when Lord is coming and he kills the demons, we learn here that this demon Hiranyaksha was actually a devotee in Vaikuntha planet, and he was cursed by the Chaturkumaras, all arranged by the Lordship. So he appears, but when devotees, they appear as demons in this material universe, they are not like the puny demons of today times, right? The puny demons of today times, Yamaraj and the Yamadutas, they take care of them. But when Lord, he wants to fight with someone hilarious, because this fight, as we'll be discussing in the 4th canto and the 7th canto as well, when Lord is fighting with these demons, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, it is in such a amazing form that it appears even Lord Brahma and the demigods, when they're fighting, when they're seeing these demons fight with Lord, Krishna or Lord Vishnu who's appearing. So it is Vishnu and Krishna who kills. When they're fighting, even they feel like, oh, the demon is going to win. But that's never the case. Lord always wins. But even the demigods become fearful of the way they are fighting. In Hiranyakashipu, we will discuss that there was once a time Hiranyakashipu gets out of the, grip of Narasimha, and at that time the demigods were laughing, so he looks at them and they are like fearful, again hiding behind the clouds. So there are some very amazing pastimes being described in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. But we also understand that Lord is so merciful that he appears in his name form so that we can clean up all the vices, so that we can return back home, back to Godhead. That is the most important lesson we should take. And so in the beginning, we should hear more about the Lord's pastimes and his various incarnations. And this particular chapter gives us a glimpse of the various pastimes Lord performs in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, starting with the killing of Hiranyaksha, as Lord appears as a Shukra Rupa, as his Varaha avatar. So again, this is where we would like to end this chapter. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining us today. We would like to do Narasimha Devati. And before that, we would like to welcome. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear viewers. Meena Sridharan, Hare Bol,
Krishna.
Shubha Mehta, Nirudhal ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Pramjit Singh ji, Draupadi Bhagchandani, Krishan Achari, Kavita Mahajan ji. प्रभु जी, इधर काफी सारे व्यूअर्स ने आपके क्वेश्चंस के आंसर्स भी लिखे हुए हैं, एंड आई थिंक आपने डिवोशनल सर्विस श्रवणम कीर्तनम के बारे में पूछा था, वो भी लिखा है.
वेरी नाइस.
सो वी आर रियली अप्रिशिएटिव. यू रेस्पॉन्डेड एंड रोट द आंसर्स. नीरुधाल जी, राखी असरानी जी, महिमा चौधरी जी, हरे बोल, दिलीप कुमार जी, अमीषा सिंह जी, हरे कृष्णा। सो जीवा तत्व प्रभु जी ने आज बहुत ही वंडरफुल ब्यूटीफुल लेसन शेयर किए। भगवान अवतार क्यों लेते हैं, भगवान के जो इनकारनेशंस हैं उनकी नॉलेज हम सबको होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि जब हम श्रीमद् भागवतम पढ़ते हैं और भगवत गीता पढ़ते हैं और भगवान की टीचिंग्स और लीलास पास टाइम्स पढ़ते हैं, ग्लोरीज पढ़ते हैं, उससे हमारा प्यूरिफिकेशन होता है। डियर व्यूअर्स, अगर आपके कोई भी क्वेश्चंस हो, प्रभु जी अभी आंसर कर सकते हैं। प्रभु जी, डू वी हैव सम टाइम, राइट? सो you can write your questions here. I will read them out to Prabhuji. And meanwhile, Prabhuji, there is one question which at many times devotees ask. So for everyone's benefit, if you can answer this question. So भगवान की लीलाओं का जब हम श्रवण करते हैं, उससे हमें कैसे हेल्प मिलती है स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ में। फॉर एग्जांपल, अभी आपने जो इनकारनेशंस के बारे में बताया, बहुत सी बार डिवोटीज को क्रिएशन की पूरी टॉक समझ में नहीं आती है, इनकारनेशंस की भी इतनी नॉलेज नहीं होती, फिर उनका मन करता है वो भगवान की लीलाएं पढ़ते रहें, बाल लीलाएं पढ़ते रहें। तो ऐसे में मतलब ये सब कैसे रिलेट करें कि उनकी कैसे स्पिरिचुअल प्रोग्रेस होगी?
हरे कृष्णा। जब हम लोग शुरू में आते हैं, हमारे वीकनेस ऑफ हार्ट होती है, हमारे हृदय दुर्बलता के कारण हम बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ें करते हैं जो हमें नहीं करनी चाहिए। तो ऐसे में हम कैसे स्थायी हो सकते हैं भक्ति में, कैसे अपने आप को इस्टेब्लिश कर सकते हैं, ताकि हमारा पर्पस क्या है, टू गो बैक होम, बैक टू गॉड हेड, राइट? तो हमें वापस अपने आध्यात्मिक जगत में भगवान की सेवा में जाना है। तो उसमें जाने के लिए हम लोग को ये जब हम पास टाइम सुनते हैं, भगवान की जो लीलाएं सुनते हैं, उनसे हमारे को बहुत क्या कहते हैं, रिलीफ मिलता है हार्ट को, और मोटिवेशन मिलता है कि हमें भगवान की भक्ति में लगना चाहिए। कि ये जो जगत है, ये दिस इज अ दुखालय और अशाश्वतम। सो अगेन, ये जो प्लेस ऑफ मिजरी है, हमें यहाँ पे सफ़र नहीं करना चाहिए। हमारी चेतना जाग उठती है, हमें समझ में आता है कि आवर पर्पस इज नॉट टू सफ़र बट टू सर्व, right? And so we can get purified, and with faith in Krishna consciousness we can return back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So dear viewers, जीवा तत्व प्रभु जी ने आज इनकारनेशंस पे टॉक दी और ये भी एक्सप्लेन किया। इन सब सब्जेक्ट्स के अंडरस्टैंडिंग से और लीलाओं के बारे में जब हम इंटरेस्ट डेवलप करते हैं, श्रवण करते हैं, कीर्तन करते हैं, इन सब से हमारा प्यूरिफिकेशन होता है, श्रद्धा बढ़ती है और हमारी कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस जागृत होती है, एंड वी कैन एंगेज इन भक्ति विद फर्म फेथ। So Prabhuji, I don't see any more questions, so I think we can do the next step. We can
Hare Krishna.
offer the
Please join us for Nasiba Devarti. Namaste Narasimhaya, Namaste Narasimhaya, Prahlad Lad Daine, Prahlad Lad Daine, Hiranyakashi Vaksha, Hiranyakashi Vaksha, Shilatankanakalaye, Shilatankanakalaye, Ito Nasimho Parato Nasimho, Ito Nasimho Parato Nasimho, Yato Yato Yami Tato Nasimho, Yato Yato Yami Tato Nasimho, Rahe Nasimho, Hidaye Nasimho, Rahe Nasimho, Hidaye Nasimho, Narasimhamadin Sharanam Prabhade, Narasimhamadin Sharanam Prabhade, Tab Kare Kamala Vare Adbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Benga वृषभधीता नरहरिरूपा जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव कर कमल वरे नकामबुध श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनु भृंगम वृषभधीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल। भक्त विनाशक नरसिंह देव भगवान की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिला भगवत्पाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव विंद की जय, निताय गो प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा।